Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. I think we have audio. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2. I think we have audio. And it is now, well, 10:01 p.m. PST. We are just a minute late, but now we are on to the live stream. So, hello again, everybody, and YouTube. And for those of you who are joined now, and for those of you who will join later or watch archived when this is over, and welcome to another discussion and review of the Star Wars Acolyte series. And oh my gosh, it is that time in the series already. It seems like just yesterday they already started with just the pilot, episode 1. Oh my goodness. We have come so far in this episode. I mean, in this series. We are here to discuss and review episode 8, the finale of season 1. And according to online, it hasn't had a actual episode title. It only is just as what we know, the finale is what they're calling it. So I'm just gonna make sure that the live chat is working. Uh, Live chat. Hey, Scott Applier, thank you for coming in. Oh, hello, hello, hello. As Jim Carrey's Count Olaf would say. Oh man, Jim Carrey, yeah, he's one of my favorite actors. He's really funny, all right. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Jim Carrey. Scott Applier, what do you think we're here to discuss? The Acolyte. So anyways, um, so let's get to it. So we're gonna do the same as usual. My review, overall rating, my thoughts and recommendations of this episode and finale, and what is to come next. So, so I'm gonna share the screen with you guys for a moment because I want to show you guys a little bit of something as of what we are going to be discussing. So, as we can definitely see here, according to Google, we have the Acolyte of episode 8, and what it's definitely telling us by top ratings like IGN. I'm very surprised that IMDb is not on the top ratings of results for Google. But anyways, IMDb is not really that important. So, optimize, disable, reactions. All right, well, let's see. Maybe I could minimize this. Yep, all right, here, we're back on track. And we don't need this to be in our way. All right, so Anyways, what we can definitely see about episode 8, um, we have a top highline that say review contains full spoilers for the Acolyte. And definitely there were quite a couple of spoilers to point out in this one, so we are going to be talking about that a bit later. But in the top questions on Google that a lot of commentators and reviewers and critics have definitely been asking, and Google has immediately answered. They have said, is episode 8 of Acolyte the last episode? Well, according to their result, the finale brings plenty of surprises for a packed season ender. And with that, the divisive first season of The Acolyte is now complete. Like most Star Wars live action series, The Acolyte saved its biggest surprises for the last episode, just to keep viewers watching. So, well done for a great series trick on their part. And we'll do just two more. Is The Acolyte Season 1 over? Has definitely wrapped up. It is definitely over, is basically what it's saying. Closing the Ocean Soul storyline, but leaving many, many plot threads open, including ones that have huge significance for the larger Star Wars universe. So, this definitely closes season 1, but with a big surprising ending that could possibly lead to a season 2, which I don't know if online and Google has definitely answered this yet, but you know something, if we can go and search this up, will there be a season 2 of Acolyte? So definitely the top source by Forbes, they definitely say that there is good news and there's bad news. So the top comment critics question is the same question. Will there be a season 2? So they say Headlands Headlands plan. Headland is not running blind here and has said in multiple interviews that she has detailed plans for season 2. Now we know that includes famed characters like Darth Plagueis the Wise and Yoda, who would appear in a second season. So let's see what this good news and bad news by Forbes is always saying. The good news and the bad news. So the bad news, of course, is budget reasons. That has to be top number one. We definitely saw this coming because Disney is kind of facing a little bit of like financial and unionized trouble right now. Because if we think about it, in the budget, it definitely says it estimate is about $180 million. That's the cost of a blockbuster movie, if you think about it. Um, so Disney ain't getting any ticket sales, and Disney seems to have realized that they are overspending and overproducing Star Wars and Marvel content, and unfortunately, because of the many bash reviews and a lot of the negativity that Acolyte has been getting is just an example that Disney is not really succeeding in its productions on its Disney Plus platform mainstream at this time. It seems to be focused better on its parks, advertising, and merchandises. So definitely, I mean, I don't really trust Wikipedia because Wikipedia is an open source for the community. And anybody with an account can make edits that they believe they know is right, but not everybody is right. That is the problem. You have to have very good sources like Forbes, who are actual journalists or reporters or actual film or screen critics that actually have seen the stuff. Um, I do like Wikipedia when it comes to like celebrities and their bios and profiles, but maybe when it comes to movies and such, IMDb is my best thing that I would go with. If not, Forbes or the movies.com. So, as Scott Applier says in here, yeah, the show ended in a way that it was setting up for a potential season. That's definitely confirmed. And we may definitely see more surprises with Yoda and Plagueis in the future. And I was looking at the Wikipedia page for the show, and the release said 2024 to present, even after the finale. And that usually means they are considering and planning for another season. So, well, we're in for probably a big future surprise. And the actual critic reviews are solid if you look at Wikipedia. Um, it seems, well, sure. I mean, a lot of critics tend to go to Wikipedia and put their stuff on there. Um, but most of the time, I think IMDb still kind of is in first place. I think I would look at Wikipedia as kind of like a second alternative. Um, so the bad news about a season two of Acolyte is definitely budget, viewership. Will they get enough views? Because the views have steadily declined as season one was progressing due to many disappointment. Also, um, what else does it say here? That's all of the bad news. It's pretty much budget and the viewership. So we have good news, and this is titled High Republic. I like how they did that. They say Disney seems to have realized that there is only so much they can mine from the Skywalker era. They are making a new, future-looking film with Daisy Ridley's Rey, but that's after the deaths of Luke and Han and the real-life death of Carrie Fisher. So, no more real new content and filmed footage that they can capture for Leia Organa because let's be honest, many of the critics always say nobody can replace Leia except Carrie Fisher, who is the original. It, unless Disney is aiming toward the area because they have discussed this over many times at D23, the Disney comic, like the Disney convention, if you will, in Anaheim, California. They're aiming now toward AI projects. And that is meaning they can take archived recordings of old actors and actresses from way back in the day. Let's say the Disney classics like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in the 1930s, back when Walt Disney was still around. They can take, for example, Lucille Laverne's voice, who did the evil queen and the old hag's voice and the cackle and the evil laugh. Let's just say that. They can take that recording and then thanks to AI technology and computer software, they can like type in a whole script with words and they can like generate her kind of voice to make her say, thanks to algorithms and data, exactly how she would say it. So it's like turning something without their it's like taking something from someone without their permission and turning it into something new. And then if they were alive in this time, they would see their new stuff with AI tech, and then they would be like, what the effing God is that? They're like, I didn't say such thing. How did you do that? I mean, it's technology, baby. It's full of surprises. Um, Scott Applier just says the High Republic was pre-Phantom Menace era. There have been novels and comics exploring the High Republic era, and the Acolyte show was their first attempt at a live action show in that era. That was their that was their best time and their best chance. I agree. Good old Rockstar. So anyway, you can definitely say when it comes to Star Wars, I'm a good rock star about it. Obviously, Scott Applier, who's here in the chat and viewing this, he is a Star Wars geek like I am, but let's kind of be honest. I'm probably more of a geek than he is just because I've gotten into it a little before he did. I mean, over the years, we've kind of had this type of like friendly competition where it's like, I'm the Star Wars geek, he's the Pokemon geek. Oh gosh, I think he'll just get a little cackle of that after I just said it. Scott Applier, don't hate me for that, all right? I'm just being a little funny right now. Um, so any more good news other than um the High Republic section? Um, uh, Dave Filoni. This is kind of interesting. It says Filoni is more or less in charge of the direction of Star Wars now, and despite some complaints about showrunner Leslie Headland's story, the fact remains that Filoni likely approved essentially all of this, and as such, it aligns with his vision of what Star Wars should be now. And if it has his support, season two may as well. So it seems like Dave Filoni is kind of like running the whole Star Wars show in Disney right now. I mean, the first guy to ever really make the bold step on making a whole trilogy in Disney for episodes 7 through 9. I mean, shout out to J.J. Abrams. Um, I definitely would have to say in the sequels, I would definitely watch them, but I would not just be too crazy about episode 8 just because I don't know if it was quite necessary as episodes 7 and 9. 9 was the really big deal. That was the great end of the Skywalker um legacy timeline, if you will. So also Headland has a plan, it seems here. And his plan seems to not be running blind here, as this says clearly on the screen, and has said in multiple interviews that she has detailed plans for season two. So we definitely know season two is happening. Her real life wife, Rebecca Henderson. So yes, there's definitely a little bit of the LGBTQ plus community in this. So we definitely need to show respect and appreciation. So good for you, Rebecca and Headland. So it says Rebecca, who plays Vernestra, what a very good surprise. I actually had no idea about this detail. Seems to indicate on Instagram that her character's arc would indeed continue, though obviously that shouldn't be taken as official renewal. And it comes down to whether Disney is willing to keep investing in an expensive show that not all that many people watched in order to continue to develop the High Republic and finish some very interesting storylines season one created. So yes, it's because Disney and Acolyte's casts and their community have been kind of in a way have been like mixed reactions. Like half of Disney's community was saying like we appreciate you, and there are definitely some LGBTQ plus traits in this with the cast, and then others of Disney are still not completely accepting about this. Um, but you know what? That's just their damn problem. That community is steadily increasing day by day and year by year, and it's just not going to stop. So I mean, Disney either needs to kind of like grow up about this. They may be understanding and maybe an ally, but that doesn't mean that they don't secretly despise it or disapprove of it. I mean, for example, I would love to have, just for curiosity, maybe a mini story production on how a what if scenario of Beauty and the Beast, for example. We have Belle. a a female woman, young 20s, like Emma Watson's age. And what if you take the Beast, and who says the Beast has to be a male? The Beast could be a girl because let's just face it, there are aggressive female beasts out there. Female wrestlers, WWE, um, Rowdy Ronda Rousey from the Women's Wrestle Champs. I mean, that's kind of beast if you would say so, if I say so myself. So why can't Belle be with a female? Well, in 2017, when they did the live action Beauty and the Beast movie, they did have a little bit of a spoof clue in there when the invaders came to storm the castle to find the Beast and all the people who lived there, or the creatures, when they were in their object parts enchantedly. There was this one guy out of all of them who despised being in those ladies' clothings when they got trapped in the wardrobe door, and then one guy came out smiling and liking how he was in a dress. I mean, come on. I mean, Disney, you writers in that script, I really appreciate that you have really put that in there. But at the same time, for the others in Disney, the other half are like, oh, I don't think that was necessary. They should have kept that neutral and out of the story. Well, it's just too bad. It's just too bad. I mean, free advertising, it's definitely First Amendment, freedom of speech, free to express yourself. And it is television, so if you don't like it, don't watch it. But anyway, a little bit off the topic, back to Acolyte. So that's definitely all of the good news that Forbes has to offer us. So we are now done with the online stuff. But before we get back to it, let's just go into the Disney Plus streaming platform here. And we are under the Acolyte episodes guide. We can definitely see in episode 8 of the Acolyte, the finale, it definitely has no title, only that it is about confrontation and revelation await. It's definitely like the twist of the story where it seems to be about Osha and May. The climax and the resolution has definitely settled in their timeline. And Scott Applier, you definitely say, well, I think I know quite a bit of Star Wars lore, LOL. And if J.J. Abrams directed all three and they had the same writers planning out the stories for all three movies, the sequel trilogy would have turned out better, if you ask me. Yeah, I definitely agree to that. And don't get too off topic, sir. We're talking about Star Wars. Yeah, I know, absolutely. I was just trying to make a little bit of a point, like an example of, ever since Disney had started their live action remakes of the classics back in the day. Um, so anyway, back to Acolyte. So the finale is just known as the finale. There is no title, so that definitely tells us it's the end of the season. So we can definitely exit out of here. Okay, so quickly we're going to get through this because I don't want to take too much time. It's 10:24 p.m. right now, so only 24 minutes. I just definitely don't plan on going over an hour. So, my overall rating of the finale. I definitely have to say, my honest opinion, Acolyte writers for this finale of season 1, it seems that they finally did, a good amount of homework of Star Wars, of this Ocean May conflict story, along with the Jedi Council and the Sith apprentice Kamir. And it seems like they finally made a very good conclusion about them in this season. And just like season 5, that I said last time was the best one and the highest rated one that I gave it out of all the rest of them, This is definitely my same rating as episode 5, but a little bit more. I say they did very great on this conclusion. So I definitely would give this 3.5 out of 4 stars. In other words, 75 to, let me be generous. I'll give it an 85%. I'll give it a solid B. So it's it was very well done. Well done, Acolyte writers, for this season 1 finale. So, my thoughts on this finale. Oh my goodness, where to begin? So, before we begin, just a moment. Wet my whistle a little bit. Okay, so, um, the Virgin's plot was very interesting to me, says Scott Plier. What did you think of Soul getting forced choked to death by OSHA? Oh my goodness. I actually did not expect OSHA, you know, just from May that told her the absolute truth of what happened with May's witnessed view of her mother getting slaughtered by the Jedi, especially Soul. Um Soul. Um I did not expect OSHA to completely twist like this. It's like you flipped a switch on that tells her, I love the Jedi. They are good and they would never harm a human being. And then all of a sudden it's like, switch off. Ever since she put her head into that Sith Khmer's helmet, it's like that was like her slight fall to, well, I would probably have to say the dark side, if you will, because let's be honest, the lightsaber she was holding when she killed after she killed Saul with the force choke, who knew she had the force in her? So my only question about that is, do you guys think that when Osha killed Saul by the force choke looking power, do you think that that was a Sith's force choke power, or was that her witch's kind of death power, if you will, or maybe a combination of both? I, if you ask me, I think it was a Sith power because I think she had the Force in her when she was trained by the Jedi. When she tried to start off as kind of like on the youngling or the Padawan level, and then she left the Order because the Jedi, because she wanted to leave. I think she was trying to use some of those teachings for a bit of evil against Soul because when she finally learned the truth thanks to May. Um, Skypire says that, and also Soul admitting that he killed her mom. Yeah, so Osha overheard that in the back, and then that's just when he turned and he realized, oh crap, I am in trouble. And it seems like that was the fourth Jedi Master that May in the original beginning in the pilot, because her objective or goal was to go after the 3 or 4 Jedi Masters and kill them that invaded their home on Brendok. And Soul, being the fourth one there, now that he was dead, May's mission was complete. And she didn't even have to do that. She had Osha do it after she twisted her back to the whole truth of what happened to them and their family. So, sheesh. This episode was just so moving. I did not really see it coming about Osha turning um against Soul, because it's like, oh gee, they have such a strong bond throughout this season. It's like, God forbid they ever turn against each other. Um, but if I have to give a little reference quote, I think definitely if I were in Soul's position, I would definitely probably say to Osha, like what Anakin said to Padme. Um, I would say something like, May is just trying to turn you against me. And really, at the same time, that's kind of the truth and a lie. Also, because of what Obi-Wan, when he was an old boy, when he said to Luke, what I told you was true from a certain point of view. I guess Jedi in that time did not really say or think things in certain different points of view. I mean, until Yoda was known as the Grand Master on the High Council in the Republic era. So I think that's when things for the Jedi had started to kind of turn around and kind of change in the order. Um, and Scottaplier just says it was probably just a force choke because Jedi can do force chokes too. They just don't do it because it's like a forbidden, unforgiven spell or curse, like in Harry Potter. Yeah, yeah, it seems, but then again, ev ever since she used that forbidden, like, force power, and then she activated that saber, we can definitely see the saber color changed from blue, which represents a Republic warrior and a good Jedi Knight, um, fading to red that covers the whole color, and then it's like the last bit of blue at the tip. It's like say goodbye to your good side. You are done. You're now bad. And then probably from now on, when she activates a saber, it would probably become red because it's like the weapon of the Jedi Order and the Jedi religion or culture is definitely telling her you're not meant to be a Jedi. When you turn it on, you're meant to be a Sith. It was like bleeding red. And the blade, I don't know if I don't know if it was just me or if it was really intended, but when I saw the blade ignite from blue to red, it seemed almost unstable, kind of like the flame cross saber of Kylo Ren. When his saber was like poorly made and it was unstable because the sides had to be filters because it was not properly made. Or it was like too overpowering. It was not like an original lightsaber. Yep, it was bleeding red, all right. Um, but that's definitely an interesting thing that we saw. And not to mention seeing in the shadows in the corner, witnessing the entire event when Osha was with Kamir. It's like who was keeping an eye on Kamir, who we can only predict or guess the Sith apprentice at the time because we know he's not a master. Because the Jedi Masters, like Soul, almost easily was evenly as powerful as he was. He could have probably killed Kamir if he wanted to, if he wasn't so emotional or really blind. But yeah, yeah, it was definitely Soul's lightsaber. When she took it, she kind of made it turn red. So it's like good blue crystal life was over. It was damaged by Kamir. That's yeah, because it was touched by a dark sider. Um, and that's definitely in the Star Wars books. Um, or according to Jedi and Sith legend, the crystal in the lightsaber can change to red if it already has a blue or green Jedi color. And if it was used for evil, like Anakin that slaughtered all the younglings in Revenge of the Sith, and then people were asking, why didn't his saber turn red after doing all of that evil? Well, apparently there was some kind of other mysterious thing that um many people have explained about it. I can't remember the exact answer. But I think it was because it had to do with him being um their prophet of the chosen one, I guess, or because of his great ability, it even confused the saber crystal, though who knows. So, anyways, That was really interesting. Seeing in the shadows a deformed figure of Darth Plagueis. We can't obviously see a clear figure, but we can have an idea that that was him and that he existed in that time. And it was definitely before um, Chancellor Palpatine's birth, because according to the timeline, Palpatine wasn't born until around 52 years after this time. So Palpatine was not born yet. He was not a Sith yet. But it seems like a voice that was on one of the communicators that the High Jedi Council Master was um contacting almost sounded like Palpatine's voice or Ian McDiarmid. Maybe he did a voiceover cameo or something like that. That would have been very interesting to hear, or as like a grid shout out like, "Hey, it's Ian." But oh well. And Scotiplier, you say he had to construct a new saber, then that one turned red. Remember Obi-Wan took his original, yeah, because it was still blue. Um, and then of course, Anakin's new blade became red when it was reconstructed as a Sith saber, maybe also with the Emperor's help, or maybe he gave it to him. It's a big mystery. But we definitely do know Darth Vader's saber and Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, two complete different sabers. That we definitely know. So, again, back to Acolyte. So, more thoughts of this episode finale. Um, I think I pretty much almost had said it all. Though I will have to say, I'm kind of glad that Osha and May had made amends with each other and have kind of, in a way, reconnected when they both finally had agreed after both of them seen and explaining to each other the whole truth of what happened, mostly May to Osha about what happened that night on Brendok. Um, but at the same time, I feel very bad for Osha after all this time being completely, like, confused, or in their terminology, blinded from the truth. So at the result, like a Sith, they blind themselves with anger. So because of their frustration, they act as angry because they feared what the truth was. Like what Yoda says, fear is a big red flag. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to death or suffering, and then dominates your entire life. So, yeah, I think those are all of my thoughts of this finale. Um, and gee, the very last scene of seeing Yoda's figure of behind his head with his ears, and then it's like he looked up, and it's like he was given the expression, hmm? It's like, you need to talk with me, do you? Hmm? um, Man, I sure wish that we could have heard Yoda's voice or his grunt, "Hmm?" a little bit in that, because I would have definitely liked to know if, like, Frank Oz would have definitely come back for that, but most likely he would. Uh, Gee, I don't think anybody could have done a better Yoda than Frank Oz. I mean, he was great with voices. I remembered him since he was Grover, the furry blue monster puppet on Sesame Street. Oh, and Scott Plier, you say, if Acolyte isn't continued with a new season, they should at least do another series focusing on Darth Plagueis and Khmer. Yes. That would be a very interesting concept. A whole series just about the pre-Republic era, like in that time, of just focusing on the Sith, not just the Jedi and the protagonist and antagonist main characters. Yeah. So I think those are all my thoughts on this. Very well done. Cinematography, effects, and definitely a much better story like episode 5. That and this finale, my two most favorites out of this entire season. And again, 85% solid B grade, 3.5 out of 4, 3.5 out of 4 stars. I think that equals that percentage. Um, and my recommendation is this is definitely a must if you like a very big twist or like a, oh God, I didn't see that coming kind of reactions if you want them. And we can only just wait now for season 2. But next week, guys, I will be doing one more live stream discussing The Acolyte as a whole season 1 overview. So, next week it'll either be Thursday or Friday um at 10 or 11 p.m. PST. Um but the upcoming live video on my channel that you guys will see on the page that's archived as upcoming before the live begins, that will have the details in it. And of course, the dates and times of live streams on my channel, they are subject to change, but will definitely show on the screen of updated changes or a message in the community tab as a post. So, thank you guys for coming to this live stream. We've hit about a good 40 to 45 minutes on this live stream. So, thank you, Scott Applier, for coming in and putting in your thoughts and ideas into this. And thank you, other viewer, for watching this. I think I've had up to like 3 or 4 viewers in this one. So thank you guys very much. Much appreciated. So press that like button down below whenever you can and comment down below your thoughts of the season 1 Acolyte finale. Like, did you like it? Did you dislike it? Whatever it is. And also, what do you want to have discussed live streamed next? And also, please subscribe if you have not done yet. And also go to Scott Applier Popcorn Fans channel, which you can probably click on his icon in the live chat. Go to his channel, subscribe to him, and give him some love too. Though he's like 200 subs above me, so he's really beating me in the game. So good job, Scott. And you say a nice grade. I give it a good B plus. You're welcome, buddy, and take care. Thank you, Scott Applier. So I'll see you guys sometime next week with details to come posted before the live stream. And this will be archived in the lives playlist on my channel for those of you who want to see this later when this live is done. So, Cash Vault out.